So we just wrapped up heel part 2, and now we're going to work on the stay. So there's 6, what I call the family pet 6 commands: sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. Break technically being the release command, so technically 7, but 6 functional commands. Stay is like the least useful because everything we do has some form of implied stay. Sit, put your butt down, don't move. Down, lay down, don't move. Place, go to the bed, don't move. Heel, walk with me, stay with me. Recall, come to me, stay with me until you're released, right? There's some version of stay with everything that we teach, so the word stay itself really doesn't have a lot of application. So we don't say sit, stay. We don't say place, stay. We simply say sit or place. Stay is implied. But the word stay does have a function, but it's different than most people would apply it, okay? So right now, Maverick is not under command. Heel. So he chose to auto sit there. So I'm putting him in a quick little heel, and I'm going to turn him around. So now, technically, Maverick is in a heel command. There we go, good boy. He's technically in a heel command. So now, if I begin walking forward, again, leading with that left leg, his instinct or inclination should be to move with me, okay? Because heel is a moving behavior. Walk with me, stay with it, sit when I stop. So if I decided, hey, bud, I'm going to move and I need you not to move, that's where stay comes into play, okay? So our new commands override our old commands. So if I so he's currently in a heel, he's in an auto sit position. He's not in a sit command, he's in an auto sit, right? Based upon the heel, because it's very tricky. When I ask clients what command your dog is in, they'll look at them, they'll say, oh, they're in a sit. I go, no, they're in a heel, but it's a sit position, okay? So it's a little bit of a trick question there. So here, Maverick is in an auto sit from the heel, so if I moved again, he would move with me. So if I said stay, stay now overrides the heel, and since I'm layering the stay over the sitting position, he would then be considered in a sit command, okay? So let's say Maverick is laying on his dog bed, and he went there on his own. He's free to come off, right? Because he chose to go there, he can choose to come off, no problem. And then I decide, you know what, I actually need you to stay on there. I would say stay, and then Maverick would be considered in a place command, okay? Because I layered it over the stationary position of the dog being on the object, okay? So let's say Maverick is laying down, and he chose to lay down, and I've already taught down with remote collar. I could say stay, and then he would be considered in a down command, okay? So it's a little tricky at first, but once you get the concept, it makes total sense. So here, we're going to start teaching Maverick the concept between move with me and not move with me, and we're going to use stay over the heel position to help the dog differentiate. Okay, so the first part, what we're going to do is I'm going to just turn so that we're lined up, is I'm going to wave my left hand, I'm going to go stay, and I'm going to step out with my right leg like this. So I'm kind of facing Maverick now, or facing in his direction, and I'm going to turn like this, so now we're face to face. Okay, then I bring back the left leg, and I turn with the right leg, and now we're parallel to each other. Heel. So what we're doing here, if you recall in that heel part 2 video, is we're teaching Maverick to differentiate between the 2 different leg movements. Left leg, of course, meaning walk with me. Right leg, tip, tip, meaning to not move, okay? So I come to a stop, he automatically sits, stay, right leg, left leg, now we're face to face, left leg, right leg, heel. So it looks very awkward, it's very kind of robotic, and that's intentional. We do this because it helps the dog differentiate between the 2 legs, but in time, stay. We would move more normally and naturally simply by moving forward with that right leg. Good boy. Heel. Good. Right, left, right. Doing that crossover turn. Tip. Distracted from Elizabeth filming. Stay. But again, I just tapped. I did not say sit or anything. And you can see the tap pushed them into that sitting position. Good boy. Heel. One more. Stay. Home Depot. Good. So super easy. Tip, 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 tip. Good, got some distractions. Tip, 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 tip. There we go. Okay. Hey, how you doing, sir? Good. So you can see here he's distracted. We are currently previously at 51, and I was capping and dialing up, and you can see how he was ignoring the pressure. I am now at 80, 80, okay? So a difference of 30 levels with this external distraction, right? So again, that working number may change according to the environment. So it's a matter of, as you practice and do this more with him, you know, around the neighborhood, at the park, at the store, so on and so forth, you're gonna start to naturally find yourself going to these levels because you already know he's gonna need a higher level of pressure, okay? So here, the next step that we're gonna do is we're gonna add in a half circle movement. So right now, all I care about with the stay is getting Maverick to recognize that we're doing something different. So we're making it very simple, making it very rigid, very kind of awkward. Because if I move simply like stay like this, it looks too much like heel with the left leg, aside from the difference of leg. But because my back is towards him when I move away, the dog is more likely to assume to follow, okay? So here, I'm gonna cue the heel, come to a stop, reset, stay, but now we're gonna start adding a shoulder-to-shoulder movement where I'm walking in front of Maverick, going to each side, back to the front, back to the side to start teaching him. Now I might start moving, and he is still expected to not move, okay? I'm gonna dip him down. We'll go between, we'll go 65, we'll go in the middle. Heel. Turn, dip, good. This is 65, 6-5. Good boy. Stay. Right leg, left leg. So I'm gonna choke up here, and I'm gonna move from shoulder to shoulder, and then back to the front, and then back to the side. Good. Heel. Turn. Good. A little distraction, you thought about it, but decided not to. Good. Slow. This is fine. I'm just going to reposition. Stay. Right. Left. Choking up on the leash. And we do this so in case Maverick gets up, when I pull up on the collar, it'll help him put the brakes on and then return him back to that sitting position. Good boy. Heel. Good. Stay. Right leg, left leg. Good. 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 Good boy. Heel. Left, right, left. Turns with me. Very good. 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 Tip. Tip. So you can see the distraction again. That was 2 taps at 65 this time. Stay. Right leg. So when we see the brain get distracted, like right there when I told him stay, like you can clearly see he's not paying attention in that moment. He's paying attention to Elizabeth going up the stairs. It doesn't matter. As you can see, I told him stay. I stepped away. Heel. I did the movement, and he kept still. Okay. So in simpler forms of dog training, stay, like puppy training, you know, positive reinforcement, gentle leader, stuff like that. You need more attention to compensate for the lower level functionality of the training, so to speak, right? So you have to kind of, you need to have more attention from the dog with food, because we don't have anything that says don't pay attention to that or don't do that or you have to do it. Like there's no means of making it happen with food. So if Maverick is not paying attention to me and I pull away the food, it's not going to motivate him to pay attention to me. He already doesn't care, okay? But we can make him care with this. So here, to give you an example, I had a client, we were at a park in the River North-ish area. and their dog was staring at a squirrel. Dog was 6 feet ahead of us, staring at a squirrel in a sitting position. I think the dog sat because it wanted to. And I'm talking to the owner, and the owner's like, well, I can't tell her to do anything now because, you know, she's facing the opposite way. I said, no. I was like, what command do you want to give her? And she said, down. So I said, tell your dog down. So she goes, down. And the dog, without any hesitation, staring at the squirrel, boom. Okay, lays down flawlessly. It was really cool. And the owner goes, oh, wow, she did it. I said, yeah. I was like, just because your dog is not looking at you does not mean your dog isn't paying attention. Okay? So remote collar, in my opinion, is the only tool that allows us to get the level of awareness that the dog could be looking at something else, and when they're given the command, will still perform. Okay? Because in the time that we're training, if they lose focus on us, we're going to get through using that remote collar. So I had to go to 80 when that gentleman brought in this soap delivery. Okay? And then because I broke through that, I went down to 65, and then when Elizabeth started going up the stairs and stuff, I was at 65, and he got distracted at some point, and I think he forgot to auto sit. I tapped him 2 times at 65, he put his butt down, despite the fact that he was distracted. So he's learning, hey, I can be distracted, I can look at things, but I need to really pay attention to what my handler is saying, because if I don't, consequence will kick in, okay? So again, we don't do these things because we want to be mean to the dog. We do it because it is the best form of communication no matter what is going on. You know, if shit hits the fan, it's an emergency situation. If my dog is super distracted because of the environment, if something happened and I wasn't expecting it, like it's the only tool that allows you to cut through all that nonsense to communicate with your dog to be able to reinforce your commands, okay? So here, the next step that we're gonna move on to is the full circle. So we're gonna move around the entirety of Maverick. So you can see we're just kind of progressively making this a little bit more complicated. And I'm following that 5 rep rule that I believe I discussed in the place video, where I did 5 with just the foot away, and then I did 5 with the half circle. Now I'm doing 5 with the full circle, right, which is gradually making more complicated. I could do, the next step would be like 5, come back, praise the dog, walk away again, because a lot of times praise will distract them or think that they reset. Adding more distance to the walk around, right? All these things are things that we can apply to gradually make it more complicated using that 5 rep practice, okay? So here, same thing, I'm gonna cue stay. I'm gonna lead with that right leg. And you can see I'm moving a bit more normally now because I have confidence in Maverick's understanding of the command. And on the first one, I always like to start first with the half circle as a little bit of a warm up, and then I'm gonna go into a full circle. And this is typically where dogs have issues, because a lot of times, because they're trying to watch you, they're trying to keep visual of you, you'll see them do what we call the swivel, where you'll see that. We don't correct it because it's their technique, it's a loophole. They're still sitting, right? They're still keeping that stationary sitting position. They're just trying to keep their focus on us, so they'll literally swivel on their butt to keep that eye contact. He didn't do it, but I do see it from time to time. And again, it's one of those things where I go, don't worry about it. It will fix itself. Once the dog understands, oh, you're just going in a circle around me, the swiveling goes away. Heel, okay. So as with all commands, you know, now that we've covered the stay, it's where can we use stay on a daily basis, realistically tip. Good. So if he moves, I stop moving. In a realistic context, there's a little bit of a swivel there. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Where can we use these behaviors or these commands on a daily basis in a realistic context? Good boy. Heel. One would be a very common complaint that we get is when the dog, poops. When the owner is going to pick up the poop, stay, the dog will pull them, right? So what we can do is after Maverick poops, you know, he should be on a leash because the leash gives you leverage at this stage. So if Maverick poops, I would pull up and tap to create the sitting position. Now technically we can say sit, right? Technically we can say sit, but I want to use the word stay. I want the dog to hear the word stay. So I shape the sit using pressure, and then I go stay, and I step away, pick up the poop, come back, heel. Okay, or you could release him if you want the dog to continue being a dog or what have you, right? But now I'm teaching Maverick, hey, sometimes, after you poop, I'm going to tell you to not move so you don't drag me all over the place while I'm trying to pick it up. So the next thing I can do, stay, is let's say I'm going to throw that bag of poop away, right? I'm walking with Maverick, I see the trash can, stay, I throw the poop away, I come back, attaboy, heel, right? Now I go on with my walk. Another place we can add stay is if you're on a walk with Maverick and you hit a red light, you're not going to move for a bit because you got to wait for that red light to turn green. Good boy. Stay. Is I can practice stay at the red light and do some movements. Now maybe we're on a busy corner and he's here practicing stay while cars are moving around and all that stuff. Okay? I don't really go out of my way, heel, to practice stay, kind of like I'm doing now. I'm doing this one because this is the foundation, so we do that. Also for you to understand and learn how this works. But I don't really tell my clients to have tap, 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 good, tap, good. This is 65 still. I don't tell my clients to set time out their day to practice stay. I'll just tell them, anytime you walk your dog, find a moment in that walk where you can utilize the stay command. Another option, like for my clients that have their dogs struggle with leash reactivity, is some of my clients live on busy streets. So when they walk out the door, they walk into traffic, or they walk into people walking their dogs and stuff, and then they have moments there. So what they'll do is they're at the front door, they'll say stay, they'll lead with that right leg to open the door, everything good, heel, and it flows very nicely because when that left leg, it doesn't matter that I'm here, heel, the left leg comes forward still, right? And they can go outside and they can avoid any potential run-ins or surprise run-ins with dogs, okay? Do one more with Maverick, stay. So the reason why we put on the prong collar is because the prong collar, as you can see, both when he was getting frustrated and when I need to correct him, helps the dog put the brakes on. So it's a great tool. We'll use it again when we do the sits and downs because it helps the dog again put the brakes and helps me better physically manipulate them. Remote collar and prong collar work very, very, very well together. There is no negative interaction. A lot of times people think like, oh, it's metal, like won't the dog get electrocuted? I go, no, because this is not electricity. It's electric, but not electricity. It's two different things. So here, now that we've taught the stay, right, and you saw me gradually making it more complicated, when we start his week 2, that's really when stay has a bit more function because I do use it in the early stages to start leading the dog towards off-leash reliability, okay? And we'll talk about that later. But for now, at least in this kind of application, stay usually is the least useful. So again, just find throughout your day when you're interacting with Maverick, where can you use this command? Every single day, after you pick up his poop, when you throw away the poop bag, if you're throwing something away on the walk, maybe you're tying your shoe, before you walk out of your home. A lot of clients make their dogs stay for their food. The only thing we want to keep in mind, because we have stay and then there's also the command of wait, is wait tends to be temporary, right? So if I walk out my door, I don't want my dogs to follow me, I'll say wait. And they hold back and I'll walk to the door, close the door, and I go on with my life, right? So then after I say wait, they'll stop there, and then when I leave, they'll turn around, they'll hop on the couch, they'll go to bed, whatever. But if I were to say stay, technically speaking, that is permanent. So if I said stay, walked away for 10 minutes and came back, I would expect the dogs to still be in the same spot, okay? So stay is permanent. So just keep in mind that when if you're using it for food or whatever, is that it's a very clear, don't move. Maybe you're prepping his food, getting it ready, you bring it out, you put it on the ground, he's still holding, break, and then he's free to eat, okay? We wouldn't want to use it as we're walking out the door or something, okay? If you notice throughout the course of this video, because we just filmed this after heel part 2, not trying to lay down. He may have tried, I believe, maybe once in this stay video. Coincidentally, always happens. There we go. Okay, but in heel, especially in heel part 1, there was a lot of attempts. Heel part 2, there was a few attempts. Now those attempts are becoming less. And if you saw here, 6-5, okay, 3 taps, no pull, no command, he sits back up, okay? That's what I want to see. When I see the dog go back to what they were doing prior, that tells me that they have an understanding of the concept of pressure. Okay, that's one of the key defining features of remote collar when we're using it to reinforce. If the dog understands it, it should push them into or back into the behavior they were currently in. So or they were told. So if I cue Maverick, come, and he doesn't come to me and I remote him, he should then come to me. I don't need to repeat the command. Okay, here he's supposed to be in that auto sit position. If he lays down, I correct him, he sits back up. That tells me he understands the expectation. Okay, so otherwise he's doing very good. As you can see, he wants to lay down again. And then tomorrow we'll work on the recall, and then we'll add in sits and downs. Break. Good boy.